You know, when you think of the Great Pyramids of Giza, you probably think of something eternal, right? Unchanging? Well, what if I told you their future is surprisingly shaky? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical plan to save this ancient wonder. And the wild part? The solution isn't about some futuristic tech, it's about reaching way back to ancient wisdom.
I mean, for more than 4,500 years, these incredible structures have just stood there. They're a testament to a level of ingenuity that, frankly, we can still barely wrap our heads around. This wasn't just a construction site, it was a sacred landscape, literally built for eternity, right there on the edge of the desert. A symbol of ambition, sure, but also of this profound connection to the cosmos.
But that sacred landscape? It is now seriously under threat. This timeless marvel is in a head-on collision with all the pressures of the 21st century, and it's creating a crisis that puts not just the pyramids at risk, but everything around them. So that's the big question, isn't it? How on earth do you save something so ancient from the chaos of the modern world? Okay, so here's the plan for our explainer. First, we'll look at how modern Cairo is pretty much swallowing the ancient site whole. Then, we'll really dig into the crisis this has created. After that, we get to the cool part, a solution that is, well, literally out of this world. And finally, we'll walk through the actual master plan and see what it could all mean for Giza's future. All right, let's dive right into the heart of the problem. And honestly, it's a classic story, isn't it? Old versus new. You've got this incredible site, designed for gods and pharaohs, and it's completely surrounded by the unstoppable force of a modern megacity. So just think about it. On one side, you have that original vision, this incredibly planned sacred city of the dead on the west bank of the Nile. It was symbolic, it was orderly, and then you have today's reality, a totally sprawling, chaotic urban area. Neighborhoods like Kafr el-Gabal and Nazlet or Saman are literally pushing right up against the pyramids, and they're bringing all of their modern problems with them.
Yeah, and this is way more than just some crowded neighborhoods. The pressure on Giza is, well, it's like this complex, tangled web of issues. We really need to pull it apart to see what's going on.
Okay, so take a look at how the land is actually being used. This is where a huge part of the problem really stands out. You can see it's just a chaotic mix. Most of it is residential and industrial stuff, but look at the tiny slices for social services and green spaces. They're almost non-existent, and that's a huge issue for the people who actually live there.
And it's not just what's happening on the ground, it's what's going up. With basically zero building regulations, it's a total free-for-all. People are just building whatever, wherever. So you get these taller buildings popping up, completely blocking the historic views of the pyramids. Plus, all that dense concrete acts like an oven, trapping heat, and creating what's called a heat island effect. It's making the whole area even hotter.
So you add it all up, and this is what you get. The pyramids are literally being choked by this chaotic vortex of modern life. It's the perfect storm, you know? Uncontrolled urban growth, infrastructure that just can't keep up, and traffic that's an absolute nightmare. The whole point of this being a World Heritage Site is getting lost. The system is totally in crisis.
So you're looking at this mess and thinking, how do you even start to fix this? Well, what if the solution isn't in some modern urban planning textbook? What if it's hidden in the wisdom of the very people who built the pyramids in the first place? This is where things get really interesting, because the proposed plan, it looks up to the sky for answers.
The big idea here is something called astronomical urbanism. Now, it sounds complicated, but the concept is pretty amazing. It's basically a strategy that takes the ancient Egyptians' deep, deep connection to the cosmos and applies it to solving today's urban problems. The goal? To design a city that's in harmony with the stars, just like the ancients did.
And this quote really nails it. See, for the ancient Egyptians, a building wasn't just a building. It was a reflection of the heavens, right here on Earth. They saw the Milky Way as a kind of celestial Nile River. And the pyramids? They weren't just placed randomly. They were precisely aligned with the cardinal directions, and famously, the stars of Orion belt. Their entire worldview was literally written in stone and starlight.
And just to be clear, this isn't some new agey idea they just cooked up. This is a philosophy that goes way, way back to the very beginning of Egyptian civilization. I'm talking 3200 BC, when Egypt was first unified. Beliefs about the sky guided how they built everything. So the thinking behind this new plan is pretty simple. If that ancient knowledge was powerful enough to build the pyramids, maybe it's powerful enough to help save them.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the master plan itself. I mean, it's a cool idea, but how do you actually use these cosmic concepts to fix traffic jams and build parks? Let's take a look.
The whole plan really boils down to one core idea: connectivity. It's all about bringing order back to the chaos. So, step one is to fix the main link to the pyramids and bring the huge new Grand Egyptian Museum into the fold. Then, the plan creates these smooth, easy-to-navigate corridors for everybody, tourists and locals. And finally, it reconnects all those isolated neighborhoods and services back to the main site in a way that actually makes sense.
And here's where that whole celestial idea becomes real, something you can actually see and touch. The plan calls for 3 new obelisks right in the main square, Ramea Square. And get this, their placement won't be random at all. They're going to be perfectly aligned to mirror the 3 stars in Orion's belt, just like the pyramids. It's like creating a celestial map right there on the ground. So cool.
The whole plan uses the landscape itself to tell a story. For example, there's a new grand staircase planned to lead up to the plateau. But it's not just the staircase. It's going to be designed to symbolize the sun's daily journey across the sky, from east to west. It's a really smart way to connect every single person who walks on it back to these ancient, cosmic rhythms.
So when you put it all together, what do you have? Well, this whole plan is about so much more than just better roads or prettier buildings. It's really a blueprint for how we can protect our most precious historical sites in a world that is changing faster than ever.
And the potential benefits are huge. First off, it preserves the site's one-of-a-kind heritage. But, and this is so important, it makes a point to integrate the local communities, not push them out. It also paves the way for sustainable economic growth, turns the visitor experience from a chaotic mess into something totally immersive, and, just maybe, it could even be a model for other historical sites around the world that are facing the exact same problems.
And this wasn't just designed in some ivory tower. The whole plan is grounded in what real people need. To make sure it would actually work for everyone, the team interviewed 124 people right there on the ground. We're talking local residents, tourists, experts, the whole lot. This is key because it ensures the final vision is built from the community up, not just dictated from the top down.
So, in the end, this whole Giza project leaves us with a pretty profound question, doesn't it? Can our past really hold the blueprint for our future? It makes you wonder. By looking back at the wisdom of the ancients, at their science and their connection to the cosmos, maybe we can find some of the most innovative solutions for our problems right now. It kind of suggests that sometimes the best way to move forward is to look back.